Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here. And Man in the Mirror is a podcast where each week I talk to a male guest and we talk about their life, their work. We discuss self-care, self-image, and what the guest really thinks about the man that looks back at him in the mirror. Now, this week, my guest is Rodrigo Nikaido, who is the partner and global growth director for Mexican brand Aromaria. I was fortunate enough to go to the European flagship store in London when it opened late last year. It's a 3-story building on Regent Street. It's absolutely stunning. Aromaria, for now, it's all about interior scents. So there's diffusers, candles, incense, perfume sticks, things like that. Although, as Rodrigo told me, fine fragrance is in the pipeline and is coming very soon. He also told me about a division they have called Aromaria Air, which is all about creating signature scents for business and large-scale spaces. And they create scents for hotel groups such as the Four Seasons, the Aman Group, the One and Only. Yeah, really interesting to speak to Rodrigo. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. And as always on Man in the Mirror, there are no adverts, but I do have a tipping service at coffee.com. So if you enjoy the content and you'd like to give me a tip, it would be amazing. And it's at ko-fi.com/man in the mirror. That's ko-fi.com/man in the mirror. So look, let's get into this week's episode. It's Rodrigo Nikaido, who is the partner and global growth director at Aromaria, talking to me, Hayden Williams, on Man in the Mirror. Let's go. Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here, and I'm really excited to introduce a new guest to you, and it's Rodrigo Nikaido, who is a partner and the global growth director at Aromaria, which is a Mexican interior fragrance brand. I encountered Aromaria late last year at their Regent Street store, and it's the first store in Europe, I believe, Rodrigo, isn't it? It's there's a footprint in Mexico, obviously, and in America, but the London store is the first foray into Europe. Is that right?
Correct. Yes. First, thank you for having me, Hayden. And
my pleasure.
Correct. Yeah, it's the first flagship we opened outside of Mexico. It's the first big step we take in our global expansion.
Yeah. And where are you today, Rodrigo? Are you in Mexico?
I just came back from Mexico. I was in London for 2 months for the opening.
Yeah.
And now I'm back in Mexico.
So how...
You can tell from the sun, probably.
I know, yeah. It's a bit later here and I've got my lights on and it'll go dark any moment. But yeah, it looks much better in Mexico. So how did you find it in London? How's the first couple of months been? And as I say, I saw the store, and if people haven't seen it so far, it's a 3-story beautiful store in the Quadrant Arcade in Piccadilly on Regent Street. And it's a stunning introduction to the brand. How have you found London, and how do you think London and the UK have taken to the brand?
So London's a great place, and London's story with Aromaria goes back a bit further than just now. We actually opened offices in London over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have presence for the retail side. We have 2 sides of the business in Aromaria. We have the B2B side and the B2C side. So on the B2B side, we develop fragrances for companies. We send hotels, casinos, cruise ships, any industry, you name it. And then on the B2C side, we're a luxury fragrance company, right, with different selling points. So London's been great for Aromaria, business-wise as well. We've been sending Four Seasons for over a year now, both Four Seasons now. So a couple other partners there as well. And then regarding retail, which is the new part and an exciting new story, it's been really good. And some things that we've expected and some good surprises that we've encountered, right? The things we've expected have been the huge amount of diversity when it comes to people buying, especially on Regent Street, which is such a touristic site, especially during Christmas, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you couldn't have a better location in London, really. It's great.
We're very, very happy. Yeah, and that's a whole other story of how we were able to acquire that location and close that deal with the Crown State. But it's been great. London has been amazing. I believe that it's just the beginning. We're starting to learn more about how London works. It's very seasonal in terms of the crowd you get inside the store, depending on the time of the year. And that's amazing because we're understanding how the whole world reacts to Aromaria, which was the biggest objective we had by opening London. When you open London, we say you're not opening London, you're opening the doors to the world. Yeah, and we see that in our daily reports. We get people buying it from Brazil, Jamaica, Japan, of course, all of the Arab countries, London itself, all around Europe, Latin America. So we're getting clients from all over the world in one city, which is amazing.
It's a brilliant way to introduce the brand, isn't it, to this global audience? And for my listeners who might not be familiar with Aromaria, can you tell me a bit about the origins of the brand and how and when it all started?
So the story is a very interesting story. The company was founded by my mother, and she was writing a novel about a perfumer who loses the sense of smell. So the whole story began when she did her PhD for literature. And this journey, she had to write a novel, right? And she chose to write a novel about a perfumer. And this perfumer was the best perfumer in the industry, working with amazing brands like Chanel, Dior, all of these big brands. And she was getting a lot of stress from the people she was working with. And she gets something that you can get, which is called psychological anosmia.
Right.
So when you get psychological anosmia is when you lose the sense of smell due to psychological stress. So in the story, the perfumer travels to Grasse, France, which is the mecca of the perfume world, to try to reconnect with herself, regain her sense of smell, try to understand why she lost it in the first place. So in this whole journey and discovery within the novel, she falls in love. She falls in love again with perfumery. Within the whole journey, she recovers the sense of smell towards the end of the novel. And she realizes that she no longer wants to go back to Paris to work with these big brands, but she wants to create her own. She wants to stop being limited creatively, and she creates Aromaria.
Right.
So the story was a very interesting way of bringing Aromaria to life, because my mother, now she's a perfumer, but back then she wasn't a perfumer when she wrote the novel.
But did she have a particular interest in why do you think she wrote about perfume and a perfumer? Did she have a particular interest?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We've asked ourselves as well. Honestly, she's always liked perfumes, but it's like, why did J.K. Rowling write Harry Potter, right? So it was like we didn't really expect it, right? So it was great, and then Aromaria came to life, and she started working on it as a project, really much a passion project. And then in the whole process of it, when COVID hit, both my brother and I joined to help the company, because it was a hard time for, everyone around the world. And we were very B2B focused back then. We had some B2C products. And of course, B2B was dead back then. So we grew dramatically through the new lines of products we developed and e-commerce. So that COVID was a truly transformative time for us. And that's when both my brother and I joined the company to take the leadership of the company. My mother remains as the creative director of the company. And then I oversee all of the growth of the company, B2B. And then my brother's the CEO of the company.
And it all sounds like that's going really well. And this expansion over the last few years. I mean, it is an unusual story, Rodrigo, isn't it? For, to actually write a fictional story about this world, and then for your mother to say, do you know what, I want to actually create a real living tangible brand. That's it's a massive step, isn't it? And then for both her sons to come on board as well, and for it to grow so quickly, there could almost be a film about the book it's sort of very meta, isn't it? It works on lots of levels. Very unusual.
Exactly. Maybe one day, right? We still have a lot of accomplishments to do, and it's just the beginning. But I do agree with you. It is a very unique story, and it's a story that is embedded within the company, and everything that we do has the heart and the whole passion that we all put into the company. And I think that's a big part of the success we've had.
Yeah.
That we're doing this out of passion, and that's when the big things happen.
And a family pulling together to make it work for all of you. It's lovely. And I met all both your brother and
the opening.
Yes, I was there, and I was lucky enough to go upstairs for one of the bespoke sessions to create my own blend, which I think should...
Were you there when I gave the session, or had I left already?
Yeah, no, I was in the first one. I was there. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and we got the smell with the cloche and everything. It was really good. So I don't know what there was. I know the PR agency here said that I think from what we did in that session, there's going to be, I don't know, a candle or something based on what we did. Yeah.
Your signature scent, and it'll be there soon. I believe it'll be there in around 1 or 2 weeks.
Amazing. And what will it be, Rodrigo? Is it a candle or a...
It's a perfume. It's a room perfume, so it's gonna look like this for the viewers that won't see it. But it's you can go into the store and see it. It's the same format as the room sprays. So it's a concentrated form of perfume in your ambience, your house, your rooms.
It was a really interesting session because we filled in this questionnaire and we had to talk about, it wasn't just about fragrances, it was about our lifestyle and things that we liked in our life and make certain choices. And that was what dictated, I guess, what's come over from Mexico. But yeah, it was a really interesting session. And yeah, I definitely, there was a real buzz about the launch and to see the whole family involved. And what sort of, you talked about your mother and the book. What sort of fragrance culture and olfactory culture is there in Mexico, Rodrigo? Does Aromaria sit quite distinct from other things, or is there a lot of perfume and interior perfume? Is there a lot of that culture in Mexico? Excuse my ignorance, I maybe should know. But
So first I'll tell you a bit about how scent is embedded in Mexican culture, and then how we've been able to grab some pieces of that into Aromaria, right? And I believe scent in Mexican culture comes down to two things: nature and our cuisine, right? We're very well known for having a very diverse and rich cuisine, right? Many flavors, many spices, and some correlations to even Indian food in some aspects, like mole, for example, which is like, I'd say, the Mexican curry, which has over 100 ingredients and it takes a long time to cook, right? So scent is always a very important part of any Mexican household when you're cooking, in the flavors, right? The way the food tastes and the way it smells when it arrives to your place, right? And then there's many other aspects within Mexico, like tequila, which have so many scents within it as well. And not only in the actual final product, but on the way it's developed, right? With the cacti that they use, how they burn it. And there's a part called la piña, which is the center of the part that they use to create the tequila, which they actually bake. And it has a very distinctive sort of smell when it's baked.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of aspects of scent within many aspects of the Mexican culture. Now, we've been able to embed that into some of our products because we don't want to become a brand that is purely focused on we're a Mexican brand, right? And there's two reasons for that. We're proudly a Mexican brand, but our message towards Mexico and the world is that amazing things can come from Mexico, right? And we're proud of that because we're actually the first Mexican luxury brand in any sort of industry to open any type of store within a major retail street in any big city, right? There's been some other brands that have opened stores outside of Mexico, but the big cities that say London, New York, Tokyo, Paris, right? Champs-Élysées, Incense, Regent Street, we're the first Mexican brand to have a foot on one of those streets, which is Regent Street, right? Yeah, we're very proud of that. And the way we've done that is by creating a brand for the world, right? We're proudly a Mexican originated brand, but we're a brand for the world. Now, we have done some really cool Mexican inspired projects. One of them is called ¿A qué huele México?, which translates to what does Mexico smells like.
Right.
And we did it with our French perfumers, and it was a very interesting project where we brought chile habanero, chile serrano, Jamaica, tortilla, avocado, all of these really Mexican products. And we decided to create scents for ambience inspired and using these products. And they're amazing. I don't know if you smell, you must remember, you smelled chile serrano. You remember?
As part of that session we did, yeah. Yeah, it did.
So in honesty, chile serrano is one of my favorite scents and people love it. People really like it.
But you're right. I think from looking at the website and seeing the store on Regent Street, you can tell the Mexican influences in terms of the different fragrances. But actually, the aesthetic of the brand is very classical and it's contemporary, isn't it? There's it's white and silver. It looks. You haven't gone that route of being very sort of cliched about a certain region or a certain country. It should appeal to everyone.
Correct. That's exactly the objective of it, because our message is not a Mexican design or Mexican-inspired design. We're a Mexican brand, but with a sophisticated, luxurious feeling, and we're very focused on the luxury lifestyle industry, right? We sometimes don't even target just the fragrance industry. We target the luxury and the lifestyle industry, which is what we want to promote, right? We want people to find ways of improving their lives through scent with our products, right? So how can our products help them find different ways of improving their lives?
And Rodrigo, did you start with interior fragrance because of the business-to-business element? I'm just curious as to why the sort of home interior route was the one you went down first of all.
Yeah. So the actual first collection of Aromaria was 14 candles. So it was B2C focused. We developed them in Grasse, France with a very, very good group of perfumers and a way of processing the candles. We use cosmetic grade wax for the wax, and it's the best quality candle. And we actually sell those candles still today in our collection, right? Although we have over 400 products, those 14 candles are still part of the collection. So again, I have no answer to that directly. It was what we decided to do and what my mother decided to do initially with the candles. And then that's when we started going straight into home fragrance.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about Aromaria later, but always in the podcast, I'm interested. It's always male guests. And I think it's interesting for the listeners to find out a little bit about your morning and evening routine, Rodrigo. Can you tell me a bit about some of the products and some of the hero products you like to use yourself in your morning and evening routine? Do you have a kind of straightforward routine that you use and you stick to?
Yeah, so I'd say very normal in the aspects of the routine I have for the products I use, right? I wash my face with the soap and that's it. But within Aromaria, I do have I wouldn't say rigid, but I do have a precise way of using the products, and it shifts around. And it's interesting because it links to how I link my memory of that time and that moment with the scent I was using, right? And I think the best example I can give you is just the time I just came out of, which was the opening. So we were there for 2 months in London, and it was a very disciplined, hardworking and stressful time, right? Of course, opening the store wasn't easy. So we had to be on our A game, and we had to be working very hard. So every single day, waking up at 5 a.m., I'd spray our grapefruit scent. So grapefruit and citric scents they have a very interesting study on how they interact with our emotions, becoming happier, euphoric. They directly give you energy, right? So they give you this uplifting effect. So as soon as I wake up, when I'm getting ready to go to the gym, I spray that heavily in my room. And it's interesting because I don't do it for the immediate effect, but I do it for the effect after the gym, right? So I leave it there. I know it's going to be very intense when I come back home because I really like to spray it. Then I go to the gym, I come back, and when I enter the room, it's like that blast. It's very nice citric scent, and I'm ready to start the day, right? Then I'll jump in the shower, and then I'll have breakfast. I'll go to work, and I'll probably light a candle while I'm working. I'll light it in the middle of the office so people can enjoy it as well. Then we switch around the candle so as well our team can enjoy different parts of our products. And then usually at the end of the day, I like to meditate, and I use a collection that we have, which is called Cabinet de Curiosités. And Cabinet de Curiosités is small incense sticks. They last for 33 minutes, and the collection has 12 scents, and each scent has the objective to evoke an emotion. So the one I use is called Buddha's Apprentice, usually in the afternoon. And it's a very nice Palo Santo smell, and I use it to meditate. And then usually from there, maybe I might light a candle again, not always, and then I'll go to sleep.
Sounds good. And what about your relationship with more personal fragrance, Rodrigo? Do you have a certain fragrance or cologne that you like particularly, or do you have a kind of fragrance wall?
So I have a huge collection of perfumes, and we are actually starting to work on our own collection of corporal perfumes from Aromaria. Yeah. So that's gonna probably come mid to end of this year, depending on how fast we move with it. It's going to be a very interesting collection because we already have them, right? We already developed them for B2B projects. We've already done quite a big amount of perfumes, and I use perfumes for my own as well. So this one I have here in the office you see it has no name, but back here it's orange blossom. It's pure orange blossom scent, but it's meant for perfume. So I really like to use this. I really like Byredo, which I always have around as well. I love Byredo. And I love many big brands. I love Amouage. I love Francis Courtejan. I love Orto Parisi. I have a big range of perfumers that I really like, and I love to layer. Usually, a tip I'll give for you and your listeners, and you can buy this in our store. It's a scent we have called White Cotton. So
yeah, I remember that one.
This scent, yeah. And this scent is a very interesting scent because it literally smells like cotton. Fresh whites is actually called, because white cottons for our beauty trend we developed. On their store, you'll find it as fresh whites. So it's pure cotton scent. And this scent works in a great way because if you put it on your clothes and you're able to put it on your clothes, it will create this freshness. It'll create this sense of cleanness and it'll create this perfect base layer for you to layer whatever type of perfume you want on top of it, right? Whether it's an oud, a citric, wooden scent, key, anything will blend great with this white scent.
Oh, that sounds good. And do you have are you loyal to any particular products in terms of hair care or anything like that? Or do you?
Oh, interesting. Look, I'm wearing right now lip balm.
Lip balm.
So,
yeah.
You honestly know for my hair, I buy whatever I find in the hairdresser to put some wax under.
Yeah.
But for face, I love La Mer. So for my lips, I only use La Mer. And that's it. An ex-girlfriend of mine showed it to me. And I stuck to it.
There you go. Well, going back to Aromaria, and it seemed to me there was a lot of innovation in what you were doing. I was thinking about the Happy Place diffuser and some of those XL perfumes, the Incense perfume sticks. Is innovation a really important part of what you do with the brand?
Yes, innovation is a huge part of our brand. And I was actually having a very interesting conversation yesterday with someone from our marketing team, and we were talking about two aspects within brands, right? And one of them is efficiency and product, which comes from innovation.
Yeah.
And the other one is brand awareness. And there's only a select few brands who are able to have both brand awareness and brand desire with an amazing product, right? And when you have these brands who are able to achieve these both things, then that's when you get the mega brands.
Yeah.
So that's our big objective in Aromaria, and we're aiming and we're on track to become the biggest and the best luxury interior fragrance and actually lifestyle fragrance, right? Because we're going to go into corporal perfume as well soon in the near future. So a big part of achieving that is innovation. And I think one of our biggest case studies and success stories is our extra large perfume stick, which you saw at our store as well. It's something no other brand has. It's something that we've developed in-house, and we're the only brand that offers worldwide. It's a 1.2 meter incense stick, and we also developed a medium-sized one, especially for the London market, since not many people have big gardens to spend time in. So this incense stick has quite a lot of innovation within it. And the first aspect of it is that we call it perfume sticks. Even though it's an incense stick that you light and it burns like a traditional incense stick, even though it's in a mega format, the reason why we call it perfume stick is because if I tell you incense right now, you'll think of the typical incense smell.
Yeah, exactly. And a small stick on a plate or something.
What we've been able to do is we've been able to solidify a complex scent over 30 notes into an incense stick format that smells like a complex signature scent. We can change the color of it, the way we decorate it, and then it can last up to 10 hours, right? It depends on the altitude of the location and the oxygenation. So Mexico City is extremely high, very high up. So we've had incense here last up to 12 hours. And then if you're in the beach, at least they'll last 7 hours. So it's a beautiful thing because it'll last the whole journey, right? And it creates a very interesting moment with yourself or with your family where you create really an ambience outdoors. And that's why we called that collection Outdoor Perfume Sticks.
Right. And tell me a bit more about, you mentioned it before, the business-to-business element of the brand and Aromaria Air, I think it is. So is that, so you'll create bespoke fragrances for hospitality brands and hotels. That's a really interesting, an area to have in your business. And I guess doing that kind of work must inform what you do in the consumer side too. I'd love to hear a bit more about some of the brands you work with and how that comes about.
So it's a huge part of the brand, and we're actually very evenly divided. The size of Aromaria as a whole is almost 50-50 from our B2C side to our B2B side. So it's a very big part of our brand as well. So what we do there and the whole journey we've developed is something we call the Aromaria formula. So the Aromaria formula focuses on not only developing a signature scent and scenting businesses, but really developing and creating a signature scent that represents and expresses different brands and locations in a proper way, then developing products using that same scent, right? That's when B2C and Aromaria Home comes into play. So we manufacture all of our products in-house. So this gives us a flexibility when we work with B2B brands to develop scented products using their signature scent with very good minimum orders and very good prices. So what we achieve here through the Aromaria formula, that's exactly what we do. And what we've achieved here is we've been able to give them a way to monetize their signature scent, a way to create a new source of income through their signature scent. and that pays the service on its own, right? Which is something that has actually revolutionized the way we interact with our clients and the success we've had. And we've actually been named the Forbes 30 Business Promise because of this business model, the first scent company in history to be a Forbes 30 Business Promise. So some of the big brands we work with Four Seasons globally. We have both Four Seasons in London, Park Lane, and the Tower Bridge location with their signature scents. We actually have a small store inside the Tower Bridge location. So if you live in East London and don't want to make it all the way into Regent Street, you can go into the Four Seasons Tower Bridge and then you can have a stroller as well. So we work with Netflix. We did a really cool collaboration for Bridgerton with them, the show. We work with Nespresso. We work with Volkswagen. We work with JP Morgan in Latin America. You name it. Honestly, the amount of industries we work with is pretty big.
Yeah. And it's such a smart, it's a smart thing. Obviously great for you to do, but brands thinking in that way now and being much more multi-sensory. And, we think about, TV ads and marketing and sometimes audio signatures, but the smell of whether it's a shop or a restaurant or a hotel, it is really important and kind of engenders good feeling, doesn't it? And you want people to feel, well, you can help shape how people feel, whether it's about relaxation or fun or stimulation, anything. It's really exciting.
75% of the emotions we have are generated by scent. So this is why it's so important to have a proper scent and a nice scent anywhere you're at, right? If you have a scent that just smells nice, you can't be there. And just first thing is the pure discomfort of smelling a bad scent is unbearable, right? But when there's a nice scent, when there's a scent that works well with your olfactory memory and the way you've related through scents through your lifetime, then the effects can be amazing. And that's one of the biggest objectives we have in Aromaria. It's to help people and remind people how we should use our olfactory system to our advantage and use it in a way that helps us improve our lives.
And do you think startup brands and retail spaces are starting to understand that more and more?
Look, I think there's been brands that have been doing it for a long time and companies that have been doing it for a long time, such as Abercrombie, Disney. And I do certainly believe that there is a trend happening for wellness and a trend happening for just overall well-being and how we can improve wellness all around, right? I think scent still, there's a huge amount of work to be done in how we can really use it to our advantage and how we can encourage people to understand how scents impact them, right? Because usually now people know what type of music they like to hear to study, what type of music they like to use when they're getting ready to go out and party, what music they want to use when they're going to sleep, this type of things. But I encourage people to explore scents and analyze how scents impact you in different ways, right? And that's exactly what we try to do with our products for our clients, right? And again, Cabinet de Curiosités is a great example because within those 12 range of incense sticks and this really different and complex scents we have within them, there's a scent meant for every single person or someone who wants to use them in different moments. And a good example is the one I talked about, Buddha's Apprentice, to meditate. Then we have another one called Je t'aime, which is for a romantic dinner evening with your partner. We have another one called Mojito Ice, which is literally smells like mojito and the basil, fresh scent. And it's meant for you to use before getting ready if you're going out for a party or going to a dinner, right? For a big night out. Yeah, exactly. We have another one called Cigar Bar, which is to evoke a cigar moment if you're going to be smoking a cigar or not smoking a cigar, but to create that ambience of a conversation and family.
I love it. And you mentioned already the potential for fine fragrance this year, Rodrigo, but I wonder, is there anything else that listeners might be excited to hear about that's coming for the brand either in Mexico or America or here in Europe in 2025?
Yeah, so they'll see a lot of growth within our B2B side, definitely in Europe and in the US. A lot of growth. And then they'll see the fine fragrance collection come into play. Then there's another collection that's coming, which I can't give a lot of information on, but it's coming for the bathroom. That's what I'll tell you. And it's a very specific moment within your bathroom routine. And it's a beautiful, beautiful scent. Well, 15 cents. And there's something very big coming for the Arab market, actually, which is a very big Arabic collection, having oud and amber as the main players, but in ways never done before.
Right. Intriguing. So it's going to keep on building this year and so much more to come. The name of the podcast, Rodrigo, is Man in the Mirror. And I'm always interested in men's view of themselves, I suppose, and that self-image idea. So I wonder, when you're looking in the mirror, maybe getting ready in the morning, how do you feel about what looks back at you? Are you at a stage of life where you're comfortable with what you see?
Never. I'm 26, so I'm very young with big objectives. I'd say I'm an odd 26-year-old because I've done my partying earlier.
Yeah.
And now I'm purely focused on work, not only on professional work, but on myself as well. So to answer that question, I am satisfied with the man I am, but I'm currently and always working on the man I want to be.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. It's still, it's interesting that, you've already decided that, that it's time to, get serious. You sound like someone who's interested in self-growth and self-improvement, I suppose.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's a very important part. And actually, it is an important part even within Aromaria, because we always express it to our team and the company that we are now. We started and we've grown very fast. When my brother and I came into the company, we were just a team of 18. And today we're 175 people in the company. So yeah, we're having so many people within our company and depend from the success of the company and the work that we all has. It needs to have a very important part on development and personal development and how we actually evoke it within the company as well. So it's a huge part. If you're not in harmony with yourself, you cannot be creating and you cannot be giving your full potential.
Yeah. And I remember that when we met in November, I think it was, both you and your brother were very smart and in suits. And if people are watching this on YouTube, they'll see that Rodrigo is in a suit and tie today. Is that kind of personal appearance and your own personal brand, is that important to you to look a certain way? Did you think that working in the sector that you're in, does that create a certain pressure to look a certain way, do you think?
So it's a good question, actually. I'm the way I view my suit comes in two ways, right? The less profound way, which is wearing a suit is the best way you can be dressed for anything professional, because you can never be underdressed or overdressed. And I require it for all of my sales team. I'm very involved and heavily involved in our big B2B sales.
And you kind of don't have to think about it too much, do you? Almost it's what color the suit is or the tie, but that's the uniform.
Depends how complex you want it to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And it's an important part. And then the other one is I view it as my armor. I always remember, and I talked to my father about it even today. And I have very vivid memories of my father coming back from work late nights and wearing his suit. And he would tell me it's my armor, right? When I was young. And now that I'm older, I can relate directly to that. And it's a way of putting your armor on when you wake up and going into battle, which is work, right? Even though it's fun and I enjoy it, business is a battlefield and you have to be ready. And that's the mindset and the mentality we have. And then when I come back home, I take my armor off and I can be a kid for a while.
You'd be Rodrigo again. And is your dad in the business, or does he do something else?
Our father he's our main investor, and he's a part of the board, but he's not involved in the operations.
I see. And the final thing, Rodrigo, I always ask the guests what it is that makes you happy, perhaps outside of the workplace. What are the things that bring you joy outside of Aromaria?
So it's the very profound question, what makes me happy? But things that make me happy is boxing makes me very happy. Exercising makes me very happy. Spending time with my family makes me very happy.
Do you do a lot of it?
I box train, yeah. I try to train a lot. I used to do a lot more. I used to do amateur boxing actually in London. People are surprised when I say this because when I used to live in London, I used to box in Brixton.
Did you?
So yeah, so when they see me wearing my suit and very old polish, they don't believe me that I used to box in the Brixton Community Center. With a place called a Fiwi Boxing, which I really hold dear to my heart because it was an important part of my transformation. I boxed there for a year and a bit, and it was a really cool time. Yeah, really cool time. But in general, what makes me happy is being active in any way, whether it's working or exercising. I hate to be stagnant.
Yeah. Well, Rodrigo, thank you so much. It's been such an interesting chat, and to hear more about the brand and to hear a bit more about you. And I'm going to put some links to the brand and some of the things we talked about in the program notes. And I urge people to check out Aromaria either on Regent Street or online, or if they're in the States or Mexico to find the brand there. But I've really enjoyed chatting. Thank you for making time to talk to me from Mexico City. And I'll get to see each other again.
Thank you for inviting me. Hopefully, yes. We will see each other soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aiden.
All right.
Bye-bye.
My thanks to Rodrigo, and I'm thrilled with how well things are going for Aromaria. Yeah, and as I mentioned in the intro, if you're anywhere near Central London on Regent Street, do pop in and see the Aromaria store. I have a feeling, listening back to Rodrigo, that I was as usual with foreign languages, I was butchering how you say Aromaria. I think he said it so much more beautifully in his Mexican accent. But if you want to find out more about Aromaria, you can find them on Instagram at Aromaria MX. That's AROMARIAMX. That's Aromaria MX. And on the web, they're at aromaria.co.uk here in the UK and aromaria.mx for other places in the world. If you want to find out more about Man in the Mirror, you can find me at Man in the Mirror Pod on Instagram and also at You Smell Great What Is It on Instagram and TikTok. The Instagram handle You Smell Great What Is It is a bit more perfume focused. And it's my only TikTok account at You Smell Great. What is it? Still kind of new to TikTok. I need to get better at doing TikToks. I don't know about you. I just find there's so many different platforms and I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing on Instagram, but less so on TikTok, which I do need to remedy. Anyway, huge thanks to Rodrigo. Really enjoyed talking to him. There's more guests to come in future weeks. And thanks to you, as always, for listening to Man in the Mirror. And I hope you can join me next time. And until then, take care.